4 minutes and 37 seconds. That's how long it took my father to threaten to cut me out of his will. I remember checking my phone timer when the call ended, laughing until tears streamed down my face. There I was, sitting in my sun-drenched California apartment, making more money than he'd ever seen, 3,000 miles from the family that had spent 27 years looking through me rather than at me. The hilarious part wasn't just the empty threat. It was that they'd finally noticed I was gone, 6 months after I'd disappeared from their lives. Boxes lined the walls of my old apartment that last day before California. Not cardboard shrines to childhood memories or family heirlooms, just practical containers holding the life I'd built entirely on my own. My friend Julia struggled with a box of books, her face flushed with effort. "Josephine, this weighs a ton," she called, dropping it near the door with a heavy thud. "Are you sure you need all these?" "I'm selling most of them anyway," I said, the harsh sound of packing tape ripping through the emptiness. "Thanks for helping with all this." She collapsed onto my second-hand couch, the only furniture still remaining. "I still can't believe you're actually doing this. Are you absolutely sure you don't want to tell your parents?" That question again. Everyone kept asking it, as if informing people who treated you like wallpaper decoration was some kind of obligation. I laughed, not the warm kind that comes from joy, but the hollow kind that echoes from empty spaces where love should have been. "Julia, they don't even know where I live now. Why would I tell them I'm moving across the country?" Simon walked in from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a dish towel. His dark eyes held concern beneath his casual tone. "All clean in there. So remind me again why your family doesn't know about any of this?" I sank down onto the hardwood floor, the cold seeping through my jeans. The sensation anchored me as memories threatened to pull me under. Because they've never cared about my life. And I'm not being dramatic, I'm being factual. My friends exchanged one of those looks, the kind people share when they're witnessing something uncomfortable but don't know what to say. They'd heard fragments of my family story over the years, but I'd never laid it all out. Something about the emptiness of the apartment, the finality of leaving, made me want to speak the whole truth aloud. Look, when I was a kid, everything revolved around Elliot. From day one, he was the golden child. I picked at a piece of tape stuck to my fingers, peeling it back slowly. He's 2 years older, and in my parents' eyes, infinitely more valuable. "That's messed up," Simon said, settling against the wall. "When I was 8, I won first place at the school science fair. My volcano wasn't just the typical baking soda disaster. I'd researched actual volcanic patterns and created a working model that demonstrated real geological principles. The judges were impressed. My teacher called my parents specifically to tell them how exceptional it was. I could still see it so clearly, standing by the dinner table that night, certificate in hand, waiting for someone to notice. You know what my parents said? "That's nice, honey." Then they spent the rest of dinner talking about Elliot's soccer game. Not even an important game, just a regular practice where he apparently made a decent pass. The apartment felt colder somehow. It got worse as we got older. When I was 12, I made honor roll every single semester. Perfect grades across the board. My parents barely glanced at my report cards. But when Elliot made varsity football, they threw him a party. Invited the entire neighborhood. My dad bought a new grill just for the occasion. The words flowed easier now, like lancing an old wound. The real kicker came when we were teenagers. Elliot wanted to attend this expensive private college, and my parents were absolutely thrilled to pay for it. Full tuition, fancy apartment, spending money, everything he could possibly need. When I turned 18, they sat me down for a financial reality talk. They told me they'd already spent their education money on Elliot, so I'd have to figure it out myself. Wait, what? Julia's eyes widened. They actually said that? Word for word. So I got a full scholarship to study computer science. Turns out I have a brain for it. I stood up, needing to move, to do something with the energy coursing through me. I lived in the dorms, worked 2 part-time jobs for everything else, and basically stopped going home. The silence that filled the room wasn't uncomfortable. These were people who actually listened when I spoke. They stopped inviting me for holidays. Just sent generic happy birthday texts once a year. After graduation, nothing changed. I got a job at a software company, started working remotely, saved every penny I could. Meanwhile, my mom posts constantly about Elliot on social media. I pulled out my phone, scrolling to her profile. Look at this. Pictures from his promotion party 3 months ago. Photos from his engagement party last month. They didn't invite you to his engagement party? Simon asked, his voice dropping with disbelief. Nope. But I'm not surprised anymore. I figured out a long time ago that I'm not really part of their family. Elliot is their son. I'm just someone who happens to share their DNA. Julia stood and wrapped me in a hug that smelled like her vanilla perfume and felt like actual home. I'm sorry, Josephine. That really sucks. It's okay. I'm over it now. And I meant it. That's why I'm excited about this move. I got an amazing job offer from a tech company in Silicon Valley. The salary is almost double what I make now, and the work is cutting edge. It's a fresh start. That's awesome, Simon said. You deserve it. Thanks. And the best part? I didn't have to ask anyone for help. I handled everything myself, found the job, negotiated the salary, secured an apartment in California, arranged the entire move. All by myself. Julia grinned. Look at you being all independent and successful. I am proud of myself, I admitted, the words feeling strange but good on my tongue. I've been saving for years, and with this new salary, I should be able to buy my own house within a year or 2. Somewhere quiet with good internet. That's all I need. We finished packing in comfortable silence, then ordered pizza and sat on the floor eating it straight from the box. The empty apartment felt like shedding skin, strange but liberating. So what's your plan for tomorrow? Julia asked, wiping sauce from her chin. Flight leaves at 2. These last few boxes are coming as luggage, and everything else is already shipped. The apartment's decent, nothing fancy, but it has a view of the mountains. I start work Monday. Have you told your grandmother about the move? Simon asked. My expression softened instantly. Yeah, called her last week. She's the only family member who's ever actually cared about what I'm doing. My grandmother was my father's mother, and somehow the compassion gene had skipped a generation. She listened when I talked. She remembered details about my life. When my parents refused to help with college, she was the one who helped me find scholarship applications. She called to congratulate me on every accomplishment, no matter how small. That's sweet, Julia said. I'm glad you have her. Me too. She's 75 now, but sharper than most people half her age. She sees exactly what's happening with my parents, but she's too gracious to say it directly. We stayed there until midnight, talking about California, my new job, the future I was building. These were my real family, the people who noticed when I walked into a room, who celebrated my victories, who actually knew where I lived. After they left, I sat cross-legged in the center of my empty apartment. Tomorrow, I'd board a plane and fly across the country. No more feeling like an intruder at gatherings I wasn't invited to anyway. No more watching my parents orbit around Elliot like he was the sun. Just me, my career, and the future I was creating for myself. 6 months later, I discovered that sometimes the best revenge truly is a life well lived. I was sitting in my California apartment on a random Tuesday morning. The mountain view never got old, jagged peaks against blue sky, the kind of scene people pay to see on vacation. I could see them from my desk while I worked, from my kitchen while I made coffee, from my balcony where I often sat in the evenings watching the sunset paint them gold and purple. The job was everything they'd promised and more. My boss actually valued my input. My coworkers were brilliant and genuinely friendly. The salary let me save money at a rate that still sometimes made me check my bank account twice, convinced there must be some mistake. During lunch breaks, I'd been browsing real estate listings, actual houses with yards and updated kitchens, the kind of place where you could imagine growing old. For the first time, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost declined it, but some strange instinct made me answer. Josephine. My father's voice, sharp with irritation. Not surprised, just annoyed, as if I'd kept him waiting. I couldn't remember the last time he'd called me. You need to come home for dinner next Saturday. Not hello. Not how are you. Just a demand delivered with absolute confidence that I would comply. Classic dad. What dinner? I asked, though I was already certain I wouldn't be interested in the answer. Elliot's fiancée's parents want to meet you. They're traditional people, and family is important to them. They found out Elliot has a sister, and they want to get to know you. This is important for Elliot's future. I'm sure it was. But the request, no, the command, struck me as so absurd that I couldn't hold back my response. I'm not coming. A pause. What do you mean you're not coming? The anger was building in his voice, that familiar edge that had made me shrink as a child. But I wasn't a child anymore. I mean exactly what I said. I'm not coming to your dinner party. Why not? And then something broke loose inside me, not anger, but a kind of wild, liberated amusement. I started laughing. Not politely, not nervously, but deep, uncontrollable laughter that bent me double. What's so funny? Dad demanded. This entire situation is hilarious. You want to know why I'm not coming? I'll give you 3 reasons. First, we don't have a perfect family. You have a beloved son, that's Elliot, and an afterthought, that's me. Second, I'm not going to pretend to be part of some happy family reunion for strangers just because it's convenient for you. And third, I paused, savoring the moment. I can't come to dinner because I moved to California 6 months ago. Dead silence on the other end. I could almost hear his brain struggling to process this information. You moved to California without telling us? Why would I tell you? You never asked where I lived before. Then he exploded. How dare you move across the country without telling your family? What's your address? We need to know where you are. I was still laughing. Dad, do you remember my old address? The one where I lived for 3 years? He didn't answer immediately. Josephine, that's not the point. Actually, it is exactly the point. You don't remember because you never cared enough to know. You've never been interested in my life, so why would I tell you where I live or what I'm doing? Josephine, you can't just. I hung up. My phone immediately started ringing again. Dad's number. I declined it. Then Mom called, then Elliot. I let them all go to voicemail. Then the texts started pouring in. Mom, Josephine, family is important. We shouldn't fight like this. Elliot, come on, Josephine. Just show up for one dinner. You can go back to California right after. Dad, this is ridiculous. Call me back. More calls, more texts. It was as if they'd suddenly remembered I existed and weren't happy that I wasn't jumping when they snapped their fingers. I put my phone on silent and made myself a proper dinner, salmon with roasted vegetables, the kind of meal I never had time to cook when I was working multiple jobs to support myself through college. The entitlement in their messages was staggering. Elliot needed his fiancée's parents to think he came from a picture-perfect family, so suddenly they needed me to play my assigned role. Where was this concern for family when I was eating ramen noodles in my dorm room because I couldn't afford anything else? The calls and texts continued for 3 days. Some were guilt trips, others were bribes, and a few were just angry demands. I read them all but responded to none. On the 3rd day, my grandmother called. "Hello, sweetheart. How are you settling into California?" Her voice instantly soothed something in me. "Really well, actually. I love it here." "I'm so glad to hear that. Listen, your parents asked me to call you." I sighed. "Let me guess. They want you to convince me to come to Elliot's dinner thing." "They do. But before I say anything else, I want you to know that I'm not going to pressure you. I understand your family situation, and I understand why you don't want to go." "Thank you, Grandma. That means a lot. Your parents are upset that you moved without telling them." "Grandma, they didn't even know where I lived before." "How is that my fault?" "It's not your fault, sweetheart. I've watched this family dynamic for years, and I know how they've treated you. I've tried to talk to your father about it, but he doesn't want to hear it." After we hung up, I felt lighter. At least someone in my family understood. Saturday came and went. I spent it hiking in the mountains near my apartment, breathing clean air, feeling free. Sunday morning, Dad called again. "Josephine, we had to tell Elliot's future in-laws that you were sick and couldn't make it to dinner." "Okay." I kept my voice neutral, offering nothing more. "The wedding is in a month. You need to be there." "I'm not coming to the wedding either." "Josephine, this is Elliot's wedding. You have to come." "No, I don't." His voice dropped to that dangerous register I remembered from childhood, the tone that meant consequences were coming. "If you don't come to this wedding and show Elliot's in-laws that we're a normal, loving family, I'll disinherit you. I'll cut you off completely." I nearly dropped the phone because I was laughing so hard. "You'll disinherit me?" "Dad, I make more money than you, Mom, and Elliot combined." "I don't need your money." Silence stretched between us, heavy with realization. "Is that true? About your salary?" "If you'd ever bothered to ask about my life, you'd know that I work for a major tech company and make a very good living." His tone changed instantly, warming with newfound interest. "Josephine, we've always been proud of you. We just want you to come home so we can all be together as a family." I hung up without responding. An hour later, Elliot started texting about how proud he was of me and how he'd always thought about me and missed me. It was pathetic. Now that they knew I was successful, they suddenly wanted me back in their lives. The only thing that had changed was the value they now believed I could bring to the family image. I blocked their numbers and deleted their contacts from my phone. I was done with all of them. A month passed, the most peaceful month I'd had in years. No calls from my parents, no guilt trips, no demands. Just me, my work, and my California life. I'd narrowed my house search to a few promising properties. There were some beautiful places about an hour outside the city, quiet neighborhoods with good schools even though I didn't have children. I liked the stability of it, the permanence. My phone rang on a Sunday afternoon. My grandmother's name lit up the screen. "Hello, sweetheart. How are you doing?" "Really good. I'm looking at houses online. I think I found a few I want to see in person." "That's wonderful, Josephine. I wanted to tell you about the wedding, and I have some photos to send you." "Oh. How did it go?" "It was tense. Your parents were not happy that you didn't come. They kept making excuses for why you weren't there, and it was obvious they were uncomfortable." "What kind of excuses?" "First, they said you were still sick. Then they said you had to work. Then they claimed you were traveling for business." The bride's parents didn't seem to believe any of it. I leaned back on my couch. That must have been awkward. It was. And Elliot looked disappointed the whole time. He kept checking his phone, probably hoping you'd change your mind and show up. "Well, that's not my problem." "No, it's not. But Josephine, there's something else you should know." A few days before the wedding, the bride's parents had a very unpleasant conversation with your parents. I sat up straighter. "What kind of conversation?" "Apparently, they did some research about your family. They found out that your parents had basically ignored you for years and that Elliot was clearly the favorite child. They weren't happy about it." "Really?" "Really. From what I heard, they told your parents that they were disappointed in how they treated you, and they questioned whether Elliot came from the kind of family they wanted their daughter to marry into." I felt a surge of vindication wash through me. Wow. That's actually kind of satisfying. Your parents and the bride's parents ended up having a significant argument. The whole wedding had this uncomfortable atmosphere. Everyone could tell there was tension. Did the bride's parents say anything to Elliot? I think they talked to him about it, yes. I heard from your cousin that they asked him why he'd never mentioned having a sister and why you weren't involved in his life. What did he say? I don't know exactly, but apparently it didn't go well. The bride looked upset during the entire ceremony. When Grandma sent me the photos later that day, I studied them on my laptop. My parents wore stiff smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Elliot kept glancing around like he was searching for someone, probably me. The bride's parents looked stern and deeply displeased. I couldn't have scripted a better outcome if I'd tried. The next morning, my grandmother called again. "Josephine, I wanted to update you on the family situation." "What's happening now?" "Well, it seems the bride's parents are still asking questions about why you weren't at the wedding, and they're not satisfied with the answers they're getting." Good. Your parents are starting to panic. They've realized that their treatment of you might actually affect Elliot's marriage and his relationship with his new in-laws. That's their problem, not mine. I know, sweetheart, but I think you should know that they're beginning to understand that their actions have consequences. She was right. And meanwhile, I had everything I needed, my career was thriving, my apartment felt like home, my savings account grew every month. I was looking at houses, making friends at work, hiking on weekends. My life was good without them in it. "How are you doing with all of this?" I asked her. "I'm fine, dear. I've been watching this family dynamic for years, and I always knew it would catch up with them eventually. I just feel bad that it took this long. You were always good to me, Grandma. You're the only one who ever cared about what I was doing. You're a good person, Josephine. You always have been. Your parents just couldn't see it." After we hung up, I felt vindicated but mostly just relieved that I wasn't part of their drama anymore. I spent the rest of the day looking at real estate listings and found a house that seemed perfect, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a nice yard, and excellent internet service. It was about an hour from my office, but since I worked from home most days, that wasn't an issue. I called the realtor and scheduled a viewing for the next weekend. The price was well within my budget. I could put 20% down and still have plenty left for furniture and emergency savings. That night, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was Elliot. "Josephine, I know you blocked our numbers, but I got a new phone. We need to talk." I stared at the message for a moment, then deleted it without responding. 5 minutes later, my in-laws are asking questions about you. This is affecting my marriage. Delete. Please just call me back. I know we messed up. Delete. Josephine, I'm sorry. We all are. Can we please talk? I turned off my phone and finished making dinner. I wasn't falling for this. They were only sorry because their actions were finally causing problems for their precious Elliot. I ate dinner on my balcony looking out at the mountains. Tomorrow, I was going to email the realtor about that house. It's been a year since I moved to California, and I'm standing in the kitchen of my own house. My house. I still can't believe I actually did it. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a yard with fruit trees, and the fastest internet connection money can buy. I'm making coffee when my phone rings. It's my grandmother. "Hi, Grandma. How are you?" "I'm doing well, sweetheart. How's the new house?" "It's perfect. I love it here. I've got my home office set up exactly how I want it, and I can work from home whenever I need to. The neighborhood is quiet, and my neighbors are really nice. I'm so happy for you, Josephine. You deserve all of this." Thanks. I still can't believe I actually own a house. At 28, I'm doing better than I ever imagined. You should be proud of yourself. You've accomplished so much on your own. I am proud. And I'm planning to stay here for a long time, maybe forever. That sounds wonderful. I have some news about your family if you want to hear it. I sit down at my kitchen table. Sure, I guess. Well, Elliot's marriage isn't going well. The bride's parents never really got over the whole situation with you not being at the wedding. They keep bringing it up, and it's causing problems. That's unfortunate for Elliot. Your parents are still trying to figure out how to contact you. They've been asking everyone in the family if they have your new address or phone number. I hope nobody's giving it to them. Of course not. I told everyone that you deserve your privacy and that if you wanted to talk to your parents, you would reach out to them. Thank you for that. Your father calls me every few weeks asking me to convince you to come home for a visit. I keep telling him that's not my place. He says they miss you and want to make things right. But then he usually mentions something about how successful you are and how proud they are of you now. So they still don't get it. No, they don't. They think this is about money or success. They don't understand that it's about how they treated you for your entire life. After we hang up, I walk through my house. My living room with its comfortable couch and large TV. My office with everything I need for work. My guest room ready for when Julia and Simon visit next month. I think about what my grandmother told me. A year ago, I might have felt something about Elliot's marriage problems or my parents' regrets. But now, I feel nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not guilt, just nothing. I made the right choice moving here and cutting contact with them. My life is immeasurably better without their drama, their demands, and their sudden interest in my success. I'm sitting on my back porch that evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, when my phone buzzes with a message from another unknown number. Josephine, this is Mom. I got a new phone number. Please call me. We need to talk. I stare at the message for a minute, then delete it. 2 hours later, Josephine, I know you're getting these messages. Your father and I realize we made mistakes. We want to fix things. Delete. We know you're successful now and we're proud of you. We should have been better parents. Delete. Please just give us one chance to explain. Delete. Elliot's marriage is in trouble because of this situation. You're our daughter and we love you. I laugh aloud at that one before deleting it too. The messages keep coming over the next few days. Mom, Dad, Elliot, even relatives I barely know. They try different approaches: guilt, pride, family loyalty, even threats. But I don't respond to any of them. I block the new numbers as they come in. I change my phone number and only give it to people I actually want in my life. I make sure my address isn't listed anywhere online. A month later, I'm having dinner with coworkers when one of them asks about my family. Do you have siblings? She asks. Nope, I say without hesitation. Just me. What about your parents? They're not really part of my life anymore. Oh, I'm sorry. That must be difficult. I take a sip of my wine and smile. Actually, it's not difficult at all. It's been the best decision I ever made. And I mean it. I don't miss them. I don't wonder what they're doing. I don't feel guilty about not talking to them. I'm just living my life. 6 months later, I get a promotion at work. My salary increases by another 30%, and I'm now leading a team of developers. My boss tells me I'm one of the most talented programmers she's ever worked with. I celebrate by buying myself a new car and taking a vacation to Japan. I send my grandmother photos from Tokyo, and she's thrilled for me. You're living your best life, sweetheart, she says when I call her from my hotel. I really am, Grandma. I'm happier than I've ever been. That's all I ever wanted for you. When I return from Japan, I find a letter in my mailbox. It's from my father, and somehow he found my address. I don't even open it. I just throw it in the trash. I don't need their explanations or their apologies or their regrets. I don't need their inheritance or their approval or their conditional love. I have my house, my career, my friends, my grandmother, and my future. I have everything I need. I'm planning to expand my house next year, maybe add a home gym and a bigger office. I'm thinking about getting a dog. I'm considering taking graduate courses online just for fun. My life is full and happy and peaceful. I make my own choices, solve my own problems, and don't have to deal with anyone else's drama. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if my parents had treated me differently when I was growing up. If they had supported me, encouraged me, been proud of me. But then I realized that if they had, I might not have become as independent and resilient as I am now. Their neglect forced me to build my own life, to find my own worth, to create my own happiness. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. Thanks for listening, and if you liked this story, share it with someone who needs to hear that family is who values you, not just who shares your DNA. Don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about finding your worth in unexpected places. Sometimes the greatest inheritance is the strength to build a life entirely your own.